Welcome back to Talking Insights, the podcast that brings you the winners and the showcase of the best projects of the SMR Awards. I'm your host, Antonio, and today we're diving into the fascinating world of advertising attention and how artificial intelligence is helping researchers understand not just what people look at, but what truly engages them. I'm joined today by Jory van Spijker, who is the global head of brand and communication at DVJ Insights, and the winner of the Best Use of Technology Award for the project Optimizing Advertising Engagement with Cognitive Demand. This study explored how to bridge the gap between traditional attention metrics and the deeper cognitive processes that make ads memorable and effective, offering advertisers a clear, data-driven roadmap to creative success. Welcome to Talking Insights. Thanks for your time and thanks for being here. And first and foremost, congrats on the awards, the Best Use of Technology Award at the SMR Awards. Your project, Optimizing Advertising Engagement with Cognitive Demand. What is it all about? Tell me everything so people that are listening that don't really know what it is about. Can you explain what the project is about?
Yeah, sure. And thanks for having me. And really excited that we were recognized as one of the winners. It's a project that we did last year, which I think is quite exciting because it's, well, on one hand, as everything today is exciting, it's about AI, but I think what's especially exciting about it is that how we use that and applied it to make it practical for advertisers. So, as you said, let me tell you a little bit about what we did. We are at DVJ Insights. We're an insights agency that help advertisers make most of their campaigns. As an agency, we're always looking for, how can we do better and how can we add new learnings and better knowledge. And to do that, we work a lot with different academia and universities. One university that we work with, or someone who used to be professor there, he shared with us an AI tool or algorithm that is able to predict cognitive demand. And what is cognitive demand? Well, it's basically the how easy or difficult is it to process something. So if you see a certain video, how easy or difficult is it to process that as a human being? And or how much demand does it take in terms of your cognitive abilities to process that. And what we did as an agency, we said, that sounds really cool, because the AI looks at things like how much contrast is there, how many visual cues are there, how much text is there, like hundreds or thousands of different variables to determine that metric. And in itself, that sounded already quite interesting, but we, as an agency, we wanted to make that applicable for advertisers so that they can use it in their day-to-day work. So we wanted to validate that. So what we did is we took that measure, that AI measure of cognitive demand, and we tested almost 500 ads, which we had tested with different advertisers around the world, and we put it through the system. And what we could then do is we could link the AI output of cognitive demand against real-world results for the ads. To what extent was that ad able to drive impact for a brand? And what we found was, yes, there was a clear relationship between the cognitive demand and real-life impact, but it was not always the higher the better or the lower the better. But we actually found that there is an optimal and a minimum level. So if you have too little cognitive demand, then it's boring and people don't watch the ad and there's no impact. But at the same time, if you have too much cognitive demand, then it's overwhelming and you basically, people, things that are overwhelming, you don't want to watch them either. So we were able to define the optimal bandwidth, which an ad needs to be between, to have maximum impact. And we started using that to great success with our advertisers last year. And that's what we applied for with the SMR as well.
So it's basically an AI that kind of helps you on the process of getting the answers and the correct answers. When we talk about AI these days, there's always the conversation about the so-called black boxes, the so-called are these answers actually correct? Is this the correct answer? Is this the right way to do it? Was there a way that you ensured that your AI provided transparency and some actionable guidance?
Yeah, so that's yeah, you're absolutely right. I think if you look at AI is able to generate data. So if I ask an AI tool, give me some data, it will only ask me how much do you want. And so what we see happening in the industry is that organizations are actually already drowning in data, and now with AI, that's becoming even more the case. And that's exactly what we wanted to solve with this, because we were testing more than almost 500 ads with real market impact. So we measured for each of these ads with humans. To what extent did people memorize the ad? To what extent did it have an effect on how they saw the brand that it was advertising? And then, because we were able to connect the AI data to real world consumer output, we were able to make it much more tangible for advertisers, because we had defined that optimal bandwidth. And so one of the advertisers that we worked with in the Netherlands was an insurance agency, and we are already working with them for a very long time. But they were always struggling with their ads, that they were difficult to understand. But at the same time, people really liked that their ads were very positive and upbeat and a lot going on. And with this new tool, we were able to help them determine the optimal level where it was still fun to watch the ads and exciting, but not overwhelming. So it was not just the metric that we gave them, but because they could then test their ads prior to the campaign with the tool, we were able to help them pinpoint the optimal balance between enough stuff happening in the ad to make it exciting, but not too much to make it overwhelming.
Right. And it's interesting that you point out that case. I was going to mention that, the ASR case. What was the reaction from the client and from the creative partners when you proposed all this, and
Yeah. That's
especially when they saw the results? Because I know that there was a 5% in ad awareness, right, and 14% in brand awareness. How did they reacted?
Yeah, so that was well, first of all, it was with ASR indeed, which, as I said, is one of the biggest insurance companies in the Netherlands. And what we did is, so when we had validated the tool, that we at DVJ, we believe that it works, and we see it also in our own data, then we approached ASR, first the marketeers, and said to them, hey, we now think we have something which is able to help us with that challenge that you've always had of making ads that are easy to understand. I mean, they've done amazing campaigns over the years and had big success with their campaigns, but that one point of understandability kept being the only kind of hurdle that they couldn't surpass. So what we did is we first shared it with the marketeers. So we explained, this is what we've done. We helped them by explaining this is how we validated it against real life data, and this is how we think it can help you. And then they were excited. And then the second step was, of course, to also align the creative agency. So we have good partnerships with the creative agency, the media agency. So we did the same, but then with the creative agency involved, saying this is what we've developed, and this is how we think we can help it. And then to their I would say that what I really admired about the creative agency is that they didn't see it as a threat, but they saw it as an opportunity. So they said, okay, sure, let's try it. And they shared with us the ad for the upcoming campaign, and we had a call with them, and then we said, maybe if you tweak this here and there, or these are the results. And then we did a couple of iterations, us explaining the results and they thinking about what it means for their creative development process, which ultimately led to an ad that was better already prior to the campaign. So I think it's a great question, because these type of things, to really make them valuable, it requires not just the tool itself, but also a collaborative mindset between advertiser, insights agency, and creative agency.
Yeah. And trust, I can imagine, and from both sides, they need to trust you and trust that the tool and everything. Do you see that these types of AI-based tools will eventually become almost like a standard part of every creative testing process from a couple of years from now on?
Yes, I think so. I think so for sure. But I think as an industry, we are now in that space where we are deciding on what is the role that it's going to play. And what I think is that initially a lot of people think about AI can help us do things more quickly or more cost efficiently. And that's true. But at the same time, we should not forget it can also add value. So in this case, we use the AI not just to do it more quickly or efficiently, but also to bring insights that we would not have been able to capture if you would measure amongst humans. Because if you ask people, do you find this difficult to understand? And they say yes. Yeah, it's really difficult to explain why you don't understand something. But in this case, AI helped us to get an objective measure. And of course, we as an agency then validated the optimal levels and etc. But I think to your question, yes, I think in the future it will become more and more like the standard to include AI metrics. But at the same time, I hope that we'll always have a combination of both human and AI data available, and it's up to the insights agency and clients to decide which you use when and where.
No, yeah, absolutely. There has to be a balance because one cannot live without the other. Uh, how are you, or are you planning to expand this cognitive demand framework through other platforms, other types of media, and other media formats? Are you planning to expand this?
Yeah, so we currently now have it as a standard in our pretest. So we do a lot of pre-testing research with lots of advertisers around the world. That's traditionally that's human based. So it is now already a standard that whenever we do a human base, so we recruit 150 people to evaluate the ad, as a standard we already add cognitive demand to it. So our reports are then always a hybrid human and AI type solution. So that's one. And secondly, we are at the moment introducing AI only solutions as well, because I think the main ads will always have to be tested with humans, but we need to recognize that there's also a big chunk of ads out there which are, not tested because it's out of home or it's podcast advertising in this case, or which there's so many ads out there that go untested, and I think their AI offers an opportunity to test much more, and then I think that kind of the combination of the future is to test your hero ads amongst humans and AI, and the remainder of your ads AI only. So that's what we're currently working on.
Okay. Finally, I just have one final question. Do you have any advice that you could give to researchers, to advertisers that are trying to use AI, not just for efficiency, because I feel like nowadays we use a lot for like the day-to-day, like write me an email, write me this, write me that, but for a better creative thinking. Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, then for me, I think the main point is that AI data is just data. And if you want it to be valuable, you need to understand how do I interpret this data. So that step to connect the AI data to real life data, that can be conversion rates online or view-through rates of your videos, or research that you tested amongst humans as we did, but connecting the data, the AI-based output data, with real life information, and then really understanding whether it's driving that real life behavior and how you need to interpret the data. That's crucial, because otherwise you fall into the same trap as we have done, I think, in the last 15 years, of thinking that any data is interesting data, and that is definitely not the case. So I think that will be my that's what I would like to share with people who want to use AI in this field.
That's very good. Well, Jory, thank you so much for your time. Thanks very much for the conversation. Congrats again on the project and the awards. And best of luck for the future of the project. I think it's definitely one of those projects that has, as we say, legs to run. So yeah, hopefully we'll have this conversation again in another
See you again
iteration
next year.
of the project. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. All
Bye.
right. And that's all for today, folks. Talking Insights is a production of Research World and SMR, bringing you the stories, voices, and ideas shaping the insights community around the world. If you'd like to be featured in a future episodes, share your story, or learn more about sponsoring opportunities, send us an email at podcast@smr.org. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. And join us next week for another great conversation. See you.